What's up, everybody? It's your favorite wrestler, Eddie Liger. With me is my friend Noah Krachivik. I get those two confused. And welcome to Midwestern Manifesto on a fucking weekday. I'm swearing already, and it's about to get wild today. So, apparently, a bunch of anti-communists who like to masquerade as communists are once again attacking organized workers because they don't understand Marxism. Imagine that. The Spartacist League, who are Trotskyites, and for anyone who isn't aware of what a Trotskyite is, it's basically traitors to communism. So if it stems from Trotsky, he's a guy that betrayed the Soviet Union and spent the rest of his life basically trying to work for its downfall. He was very, very mad that Stalin got elected leader and spurged out all over the entire world. These guys are a descendant of him. So we're going to talk about a video that Eddie made regarding these Spartacists. We're going to host an X Space. We're going to answer your questions. And again, we're going to get fucking wild up in here. Stick around. You don't want to miss it.
High Sheriff Hazard is a hard man to be. High Sheriff is his only plan. He digs through pockets, takes what he can, for he's High Sheriff Hazard. He caught me one evening, and here's what he said: "You look like a Russian, you look like a red, and if you're fond of your skin and your head, beware the High Sheriff of Hazard."
All right. Yeah, the video I did, I guess we could pull it up here before we start our X Space so people can kind of get caught up. But the Spartacist League, and I mean, this is a good, it's interesting how history is repeating itself in so many ways. The Marxist-Leninists and the Trots have really played the same role in history forever. But now we're seeing the same thing where the ACP is making inroads with the drayage truckers and with the unions. Sorry, I'm trying to get this video pulled up so I can show it to you guys. But we're making ends with these unions, and the Spartacist League, this Trotskyite organization, comes out and publishes an article attacking the ILA, the International Longshoremen's Association, which, you know, as a communist, what better, use of your time than condemning a union that just went on strike and got a 62% wage increase for not doing enough?
And one of the most radical unions in American history as well. That's Harry fucking Bridge. I'm swearing way too much. I apologize. That's Harry Bridges' union,
Right. So they're condemning one of the most radical unions. And if you read the article, it's just typical Trotskyism. It's like, why didn't the union fight to decrease the work week via automation? And it's like, because that's something that needs to be done under socialism, man. Because unions aren't revolutionary, communist political organizations. They are mechanisms for collective bargaining. They are worker combinations used by the workers to fight for bread and butter gains within their workplace, within their industry. That's what a union is. And it's important to Marxists, right? It's important to understand it because it's class struggle. But it's important to understand what they're not. They're not a communist party. We are. The job of being a revolutionary political organization that fights political battles is the job of the Communist Party. That's not the job of the International Longshoremen's Association. So Trotskyists basically just condemn and piss off these unions by saying they're not revolutionary enough. And what's the effect that it has in practice? A bunch of, or not a bunch, but there are some workers who thought that we were in support of that because they don't, follow left politics. They don't know the difference between a Marxist-Leninist and a Trotskyite. So there was a lot of confusion that was caused by this at a time when we're making a lot of inroads with these very, very important unions at the base of the American economy. And this is why Lenin wrote on trade unionism and why he condemned this kind of behavior, because this is how the Trotskyites have always acted. This is the role that they've always played. As Noah said, it's basically just a word that means traitor and disruptor. Is what a Trotskyite ultimately is. So I'll let you make some comments on that, Noah, if you want, before we watch the video.
Yeah, I just want to focus down on one point, brother. Like the role they play right now, as it stands, is to confuse people by pretending to be communists and calling themselves communists and then doing ridiculous nonsense like this, pretending that a longshoremen's union, which is there to represent longshoremen on the work on the job, is some kind. It should be something it's not, right? And writing articles castigating them while pretending to be communists only makes them go, well, I guess communists suck. Screw these communists, right? And so our task has to become, and this is something we've said over and over again, it has to become drawing a sharp line between these falsifiers and traitors who steal our language and our symbols and us, right? If it ain't ACP, it ain't communist.
Absolutely. The chat is hilarious right now.
I haven't been reading it.
Someone's like saying complete nonsense, like, put it in a Kimura, boys. And then
I don't know what
you
that
shadow
means.
ban me? And then this person says, you're not shadow banned. We just don't care about your art-started screeching.
I don't know what any of that means.
That's what they call me.
Do they? Oh.
Yes. All right, let's check out this video so you guys can get an idea of what we're dealing with here. Let me make sure the audio's on and let me know how the audio sounds.
Yeah, audio is helpful.
It says that it's on. Okay, let me adjust my computer settings here. One sec. Can you hear it?
Nope.
Wonder what I did wrong. One sec.
You want, it could be, you don't have anything else presented, do you? For the space?
I don't think so.
Weird. You want to send me the link and I'll just do it? I'll try it.
Yeah.
Because it could be within your audio settings on your new PC that'll take a second to set up.
Right. Okay, yeah, I'll just send it to you then.
All right. Sorry, everybody.
Yeah, I was working last night. I don't know what happened.
Oh, I broke in your house, and that was part of our ongoing hilarious prank war.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I just sent you in private chat, so you can play it at your house then.
Perfect. All right, I got audio, so give me 2 seconds here. Jesus Christ, I need to select two objects that are the same shape. TikTok, you bastard. All right. Dude, I cannot stop swearing. I really apologize, everybody.
You're heated today.
I am. I'm ready to throw down, as they say.
Put the kids away, folks. This one's rated R.
All right, here we go. Let's play this.
Last year, the International Longshoremen's Association went on strike, and they were able to get a 62% wage increase for their workers. And those of us at the American Communist Party supported this strike effort and even sent some of our cadre to the picket line to stand in solidarity with the workers. But now there's been some confusion because a Trotskyite organization known as the Socialist League recently published a hit piece about the ILA, which is what Trotskyists always tend to do when it comes to union organizing. They criticize the unions for not being revolutionary communist organizations when that's not what unions are designed to be. They're supposed to be mechanisms for collective bargaining that fight for bread and butter gains on behalf of the workers. But the Trots always want to come in and tell the unions how to run their organization instead of just supporting their efforts. And the ultimate effect of this is to muddy the waters and make some workers think that communists are their enemy. There were some people who thought that the ACP supported this hit piece on the unions when nothing could be further from the truth. We don't want to tell you how to run your unions. We just want to help you get the bread and butter gains that you're fighting for. Unions aren't meant to be a revolutionary political organization. That's our job. We don't want to be associated with Trotskyites like the Socialist League at all. And if you look into the history of the Socialist League in specific, you'll see that they've done things like fighting on behalf of NAMBLA. Yikes. Go ahead and give that a goog if you don't know what it is. So yeah, I'm just making this video to dispel the confusion and say that the ACP stands with the International Longshoremen's Association. We have nothing to do with these organizations who are writing hit pieces about the striking workers.
I mean, damn straight we stand with them, right? I think that was a great video, by the way. It brings up an interesting topic to me, and that is Trotsky himself and his lack of theoretical rigor. Also, Eddie coining a new term, which is goog, and I kind of like that term.
Give it a goog.
But look, Trotsky never really understood Marxism. He was always a political opportunist. He joined the Bolsheviks from the Mensheviks only a couple months before the October Revolution, right? So let's make that be clear about that. His foundational theory of permanent revolution was a dogmatic misreading of Marx that could not understand proletarianization as a process and therefore couldn't understand the revolutionary potential of the peasantry. He instead saw them as a sort of static, stuck in its place reactionary force, which should remind you of a group of people that pretend to be left-wing today. Right? But his mistakes don't end there. They only begin there. Throughout the time before he betrayed the revolution in earnest, while he was working underground to bring it down, he was attempting to treat unions in all these weird, different ways that were outside of their job. So after the revolution succeeds and the Bolsheviks take power and the union councils begin having a real voice in the Soviets and blah, 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 a question came up in the party. Well, what are unions? Because what are we using them for? Right? And Trotsky's notion was to use them as a sort of administrative apparatus, which just removes their entire purpose, right? And Lenin says, no, you moron. At their essential level, what they are is a school of communism. as they're going through their own representation precisely on the job site, they're learning what communism is. And then we can take, those who qualify into the party. Bukharin tried this really bizarre, like, half measure where he tried to find like a middle road between Trotsky's position and Lenin's, and Lenin called him stupid for that and told him he was being metaphysical, blah, blah, blah. But regardless, and I'm sorry for the ramble, it's really just another instance of Trotsky's sort of bureaucratic authoritarianism, wanting everything to sort of run from the top down so he could have his way.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it is. It's trying to impose basically your own views on workers and condemning the workers when they don't hold those views rather than encouraging them to go forward. And it was the same thing even post-socialism. Stalin promoted collectivization by inspiring and educating the peasants and farmers and workers. Trotsky wanted it all forced. He wanted more forced labor, forced collectivization, which, the history always gets inverted. They tell you that Stalin was the dictator and Trotsky was the democratic one, when it was actually the reverse in a lot of situations like that. And this is why Lenin wrote so much on the trade union question, and why that video was so easy for me to make, and it was interesting for me to make, because it was applying the theory I had read from Lenin in real life. I mean, you can read this theory, but until there's a real Marxist-Leninist party engaging in the same kind of activism, if you want to call it activism, in politics that the Bolsheviks were, right, it's hard to completely apply it in practice, or apply some of the things in practice. So it's really cool to see that now, because of the work of the ACP, I'm able to take lessons from Lenin and apply them to concrete situations that are going on the ground. And I'll say this, and I think Noah would agree with me, the longer that we're in the party, the more we realize that Stalin was right and Trotsky was a regger. The more you deal with actual concrete problems of party building and organizing, the more you realize that Stalin and Lenin were right about pretty much everything.
Yeah. I mean, that has been something we've talked about, right? Look, if you're ever confused on who to trust and who to look to for guidance and who to sort of be wary of, look for the rational outcomes of suggested policies. Everything Trotsky did from like Jump Street, tried to drive wedges into the party, tried to split it into sides, tried to get it fighting with himself. For instance, there's the famous, his first giant embarrassment on the workers' opposition bloc, right? He was trying to officialize and formalize a workers' opposition bloc just to, argue against whatever the majority was saying in the party. And it got laughed at, basically. It was a wide majority that outvoted him. But that's what you got to look for. And in retrospect, we can see that with the people who tried to wreck our party. And surprise, surprise, they were trots. It's what they do, right? Every step of the way was trying to turn one against another, trying to create a side here and a side here and pit them against each other, right? We heard all kinds of crazy lies about certain leading figures in certain chapters, right? As designed to drive a wedge between them and the national leadership. It's always, always, always about creating sides.
Absolutely. Sorry about that interruption there. Carlos was calling me on Telegram. But yeah, it's the left reactionaries, I guess we could call them, the fake communists. We've always said this, are able to do more damage than even the right wingers in a lot of ways, because they claim to be communists, they claim to be on the right side, and they muddy the waters, and they can create a bad image for the real communists. They can create a negative image for those of us who are trying to organize the unions and respect and understand what the unions actually are, and what their demands actually are and what they're actually for. So it's damaging. And you know, it's harder to see with the Trots, I guess, at a time when there wasn't a Marxist-Leninist party in America. The Trots didn't seem so bad because at least they're criticizing imperialism and whatnot sometimes and taking good positions compared to liberals. But then once you have an actual Marxist-Leninist party, you really see the damage and the danger of these Trotskyites, and what their fake communism can do to a party that's actually trying to establish something real. Lenin should have negotiated Brest-Litovsk. What do you think about that, Noah?
I mean, it almost got tanked because Trotsky spurged out and refused to sign. Right? So, I mean, Lenin, I don't know. Lenin was a little bit busy at the time, but one of their best negotiators during that era was Molotov, right? Molotov was brilliant, and he could see being played coming a mile away. It's actually why the Soviets ended up not part of the World Bank and IMF, was Molotov's eye for that kind of thing. And he tried to negotiate them to have a place in there, but it wasn't in the cards. But I feel like if Molotov would have had the lead there, it would have been a lot different, and Brest-Litovsk could have been negotiated better.
Agreed. Sorry, Carlos is something interesting for me. Big news coming soon, folks. Let me just text him back. But yeah, should we start the space now, Noah?
Let's do it up. Do you want to start it up, or should I?
I get started. I've got it actually pulled up right on my phone.
Okay, I'm gonna join from my personal account then.
Yes.
Oh, there we go. Oh no, that's our stream. I don't want to do that. All right.
Space is started.
So if you're a Trotskyite and you feel like Trotsky was anything other than a horrible traitor and anti-communist, by all means, let us know.
Absolutely. Join the space. Hopefully we'll get some trots in this space. Noah, you're going to have to help me. I'm not exactly sure how to do this from the StreamYard, how to get it
so just share your screen. It should show up right behind my video screen.
Share my screen?
Yeah, share your screen with the one with the space on it.
Okay. Let me hop in.
Like, you see the one that says X space? We should be on that, but I think it will be all right. Everybody get in the space, by the way. We've while Eddie's setting this up, I have an interesting story to tell you guys. For a while now, I've apparently been e-stalked by a Hollywood B-list actor. I think he played the talking pig in Babe, Pig in the City, right? I don't know. He also ruined the show Lost, but he's been like following me around the internet, just saying dumb nonsense and gibbering at me, you know? And so I kind of hope he sees this, and I kind of hope he joins, because he's one of those ridiculous like vulgar libertarians that doesn't understand what he's talking about and just believes every crazy lie against communism that he's ever heard. So I'm hoping he'll be here. I don't know. Did he do that? Oh, he did. That's right. Sleeping Cell. He played the guy that beat up. Corey. I mean, I guess like Dexter was also a serial killer, so.
No, accept the co-host invite when you get a chance.
You got it.
Fuck, I have so much going on right now.
Yeah, you're a multi-faceted man, I guess.
Yes.
You know, Maul here has a good point. It can all sound very Marxist talking about Trotskyism, but when it's not properly applied to prevailing conditions, then it's just nonsense. Lenin was a guy and not Trotsky. And this is something I've been talking a lot about recently is the way that fake communists get away or got away with stealing our symbols, the names of our heroes like Lenin and Marx and Engels, etc., has been coding things in left sounding language, or at least language that the institutions of the ruling class have told people is left wing.
Yeah. Noah, should we get the space started before you finish this rant?
Yeah, the space has started, man.
I mean, like get it. So
yeah,
I share my screen. What do I do next?
Oh, hold on. Let's do your screen's shared. Let's go to this one. Ooh, that ain't right.
Group discussion?
Maybe. No. I wonder why it's because I had it set up to pop up behind our picture, our video inputs.
Oh.
Because we don't want like people like trying to troll with some stupid PFP or something, you know. But I mean, we can do it like this, or I can just edit one.
Yeah, this is fine. I could just kick anybody who's got something stupid.
Yeah, that'll work.
So what do I do now? Do I just
Dude, we're ready. We can just unmute on the space.
All right, I got to turn my phone volume off. That's for sure. But so this works? Everyone can hear us? There's no echo or nothing?
If you mute on the StreamYard, the echo will be resolved. And I'll do the same once I start talking.
Okay, Noah, you now have to unmute yourself on the space so I can hear you, though.
All right, I muted your mic on there. Do you hear an echo with me, anybody? Any echoes? No echoes. All right. What's up, everybody? I think we're good. I have a sort of echo. It seems to be coming from your speakers, though. I can just. Oh, I can hear you. Okay, perfect. The echo is just for me then, and I don't really care about it. Sleeper cell, I'll talk a little louder. It's probably my mic. Oh, I'm muted for the stream. We're both muted on the stream. I'm gonna take that off because people who aren't in the space won't hear us. That's all right. We should be fine. There shouldn't be an echo.
Eddie is silent.
Yep, you should be good now, though.
Oh, okay.
I apologize, everybody.
Cool. Join the space, folks. Let's talk about Trotsky.
We're going to talk all about Trotsky, and we're going to talk about how they maybe should have killed him earlier.
Stalin was... It's weird. Like, obviously, if you say this to your average American, they're going to be like, what? But there were so many cases where he was, like, too lenient. Like, with the kulaks, dude, he tried so hard to, like, be nice to them. And get them to stop being parasitic, like wealth hoarding capitalists with this bourgeois attitude, and they wouldn't. And it's not like he just went in and killed them all. They just like moved them somewhere else.
Yeah, and like even with Trotsky, he was so patient and kind to a guy who had already dedicated his life to bringing down the center of world communism. That's crazy to me. Like when they banished Trotsky, when they exiled him, they literally paid him royalties for books he'd written. Like they gave him a stipend. They gave him checks so that he could, strike out on his own. They were like, all right, no hard feelings, Leon. And then
Noah, you should hit edit mic settings on StreamYard and try to bring your volume up a little bit,
you got it.
if you don't mind.
No, I can do that. Let's see.
It's you go to the mic button on the bottom, the little mic next to the box with your face in it on the bottom, and then the 3 dots. It's a mic and then 3 dots. You hit the 3 dots, edit mic settings, mic volume is right there.
That's not in there for me. Give me a second. My
Really?
audio settings might be in it.
You're at the bottom, the little
I got it. I
displays
got
at
it.
the bottom. You got it?
How's this?
Say it again.
How's this?
It's a little better.
Okay. I had it automatically adjusting my mic volume. Now it's at the max. It's at 200%.
Okay. Good.
The problem is this microphone, because my house can get so loud, I have it set to only have an input like right immediately in front of me. So like if I go like this, you can hear me and I'm super loud.
Well, Sean says it's fucking fine. So stop. Okay. Don't tell me what to do, Sean. Just kidding. It's like when someone says, have a nice day. And you say, don't tell me what to do. Where'd Mark Twain go? Oh, we got Jackson in here. Let's go.
What's up?
You can give him the invite if he wants.
Yeah.
Got Nima and F. Christendom. Oops. I went to Jackson's page on accident. Oh, well.
I forget how to send those co-host things. He would probably be
Nima, you can go first.
I just wanted to wish you a belated happy birthday, I suppose it is, Eddie.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I hope you had a good day. And I really enjoy what you guys do on Midwestern Marx and the ACP. So keep it going. I love what you're doing. I love the discussions. You, Carlos, Noah, you as well. So nice to talk to you finally. So I just want to wish you a happy birthday. And yeah, that's it.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it and appreciate you. Keep up all the great work you're doing. It was a great
absolutely.
day.
Thanks. Appreciate it, guys.
You bet. Where'd the Christendom guy go? He
Christendom.
left on us?
Is it like Christendom or Christendom, like Christian?
It was like Christendom.
Like Chris and Dumb, like he's someone named Chris who is
like
dumb.
He's Chris Halali and me. Chris and Dumb.
I'm stupid. Don't listen to me.
All right, request, folks. We got an opening now.
Yeah, and especially if you feel like Trotsky wasn't a piece of shit.
Yeah, let's get some Trotskyites in here. Let's get it popping.
I feel like they constantly whine and gibber in replies when they don't have to back anything up. But when they get in a situation where they do, or where they have a chance to back something up and explain something, they let it go by. I feel like they're always afraid of communists.
Yes. No, if it's echoing for you, right-click the tab, the StreamYard tab, and just hit mute site, and then listen to me from the space audio.
Dude, that's so much better. Thanks, brother. I saw your private chat.
You bet. I see Sean Moon told us to
stop. Yeah, Sean Moon. Shut up, Sean Moon.
That'll teach you, Sean Moon. All right.
Fucking
Orange,
Sean Moon.
Yo, last time there wasn't much time. I wanted to talk about Sudan last time.
Oh yeah.
By the way, yeah.
Dude, sorry. I've been meaning to talk to you. I couldn't find a way to message you. You should listen to Jackson's recent interview with Michael Hudson. He talks a little bit about how we're like the difference between pure central planning and like the anarchy that still exists within our economic system. It goes right along with what we were talking about. You'll enjoy that if you haven't seen it.
Yeah. You know, I will say Sudan, I think most of Africa that's been colonized have never really been a proper like modern capitalist economy.
Right.
You know? At least in Sudan, since after 1924, the British went and systematically destroyed whatever like capitalist class existed in Sudan, because that class went and resisted imperialism.
Yeah, that's one of the theories of imperialism that Lenin lays out. One of the more unique ones is he says imperialism actually arrests the development of the productive forces in the targeted countries and prevents them from developing normally, which is kind of what China is trying to do now, is give these countries a lifeline to actually develop a proletarian class.
So I'm not sure that, like, when discussing most of Africa, we can talk about it in terms of like strictly a capitalist market economy. And it's better to refer back to like sort of old modes of production, you know, tribal organizations and that sort of thing, because that's actually what people's daily lives are like.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this is that was the whole driving factor behind the Worker Peasant Alliance in Russia and China, where they said we don't have a proletarian class that makes up the majority of society. We still have peasants, but you know, they can still be a revolutionary force.
Even though I think tribes offer a much more difficult situation because they don't necessarily have strict class distinctions within them. So like a tribal constitution would be similar to what Engels was talking about in The Origins of the Family with the gens.
What do you think about in countries like that? Would you support like a bourgeois revolution, like a liberal revolution?
Yes, absolutely, yes. And I think most people would. Like Lumumba was that, as far as I'm aware.
Right.
So absolutely.
Interesting.
I like Kagame just for this reason, by the way.
Yeah, we had a conversation about that once. You totally changed my perspective on the whole situation.
I mean, you can message me on Discord if you have it. You should have my Discord, I think.
Yes.
I'll send like a friend request or something. But yeah, I'm really interested in talking about it. But yeah, recently, in terms of news, there's been two major cities, the capital and Wad Medani, that have been freed by the army, as far as news is concerned. And this is like, they've been battling for these cities for like the last 2 years almost. So it's a big turning point.
Do you think they're approaching an end? Or
yes. Yeah, unless like Chad or some other country gets involved, I think it's about to end. So
interesting. If you guys don't know, for people who aren't updated on the situation in Sudan, the UAE is backing an army of rapists and psychos and killers. And it's a brutal situation, you know, like, of course, both sides have done, you know, violent acts that you wouldn't wish upon anybody, but it's you know, one side is fighting for sovereignty and the other side is basically fighting for like Gulf oil states, and to throw the country into chaos. Hopefully that's a good enough explanation, but
yeah, I think that's good for like beginner, you know, because there's some things that I'm not sure about. Like I'm actually, people say the UAE is fighting for gold, for instance. I don't believe that. I don't think they're fighting for gold. Just because the army would sell them gold if they really wanted the gold, you know?
Yo, I'm just saying I would fight for gold.
Yeah. No, because the issue is the army has fought for gold, like sold them golds, like for cheap, since like 2013 or 2012, I think it was discovered. So that's why I'm like, there's no way they're fighting for gold. But I heard someone say it might be for Ethiopia and for their dam, which I think is interesting. I haven't looked into it, so that might be like why.
If you do look into that, update us on it on the next Noah's show, because that sounds like very promising.
I would love to know the economic interest behind what the UAE is doing, because it seems so like just senseless. But you know, of course, there's a material reason behind it. I'm sure.
Hold on a second. I'm sorry, Orange. I need to interrupt you because someone in our YouTube chat just said the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. They said that capitalism is evolutionarily stable because it's a meritocracy. Who here has ever had a job where the owners got there because of their merit? Like, what is it? What? It's like it's the exact opposite of a meritocracy. What are you talking about? It's
just
literally like
dogma.
spoil rich kids inheriting money and then everybody else working because they feel like we owe them, making them richer. That's the most insane thing I've ever heard in my life. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Orange. It just like it took me by surprise. It was so bizarre.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. People aren't serious when they're saying things like this. So
He could be trolling us. That's true.
yeah. And even then, it's not serious analysis anyways. So, but I don't know. I don't really have much time right now. I might have to go soon. But yeah, I just wanted to mention I might show up later if it's still going.
Tight.
Sweet.
Please do.
Yeah, appreciate you, man. Stop in anytime.
I like Orange. He does the Noah show like not frequently, but frequently enough that I look forward to when I see his username. We did this space on Tuesday because we had to reschedule Monday's show. And unfortunately, he didn't get to talk about Sudan because I had some insane JQ nonsense guy who like got very upset that I asked him to explain his reasoning behind a sentence and then spurged out on the entire audience for like a good 5 minutes and whined. So I had to deal with that. So I'm sorry about that, Orange.
System, Noah. It's truly truly spelled incorrectly a meritocratic. It's truly meritocratic.
I had no idea that profits were meritocratic.
What could that possibly mean, bro?
I don't know,
what
man.
could that possibly mean? How does the process of establishing prices and the process of extracting profit under a capitalist mode of production therefore mean it's a meritocracy? I don't.
Right? Like it's very, very simple, basic math. The more capital you have, the stronger you are.
Yeah.
It's not like it's ridiculous. We have
By
a
the
few
way, we
super
got some
chats. Do you
super
want to get
chats
to those
here.
before we bring the next speaker up?
What?
We got a few super chats if you want to get to them.
We got we need a Judith Butler reaction to her interviews. That would be hilarious. We should do that sometime.
Yes. She's a fucking wizard, by the way.
Yeah, she's
You guys all everybody makes fun of me. Well, Carlos makes fun of me for talking about wizards all the time, but she is exactly what I mean by a wizard.
Yeah, she's just cast spells, and
Right.
next thing you know, the left
She
is all about
utters
gender
magic
instead of
words.
class.
Yeah, she utters magic words and then, apparently
And they
reality
become
changes.
reality. The words in her head, you have to actually think those are reality now. Shout out to Jason. Thank you, Jason, our big powerlifting comrade. I dropped out of high school to support my widowed mother due to Reagan. Tragic. Sorry to hear that, brother. I was an honor student. Muggers split my head. Delivery. I get SSI disability. The U.S. is not a meritocracy. Facts. I don't know better evidence for that other than Jason's life story right there. Reagan promised to make it a meritocracy and then funneled all our money to the ruling class. But by the way, guys, we have a bunch of it looks like Arab listeners, people whose names are in like Arabic characters. That's very cool. I'll let I'll filter people on. I'll start letting people on as we go. But if there are any Trotskyites out there, if you know any Trots who you think might want to jump in this space and argue with us, please send this to them because that's the theme of what's going on lately. But what's up, frat bro Stalin? That doesn't sound like a Trotskyite name.
No, believe it or not, I am not a Trotskyite. I don't know what gave that away, unfortunately, but I am actually going through a little bit of an interesting phase here at college. There's socialist organizations supposedly now. They call themselves the YDSA. I'm sure you've heard of Young Democratic Socialist America.
Yes.
And it's
Wait, the who? You're talking about that like woke group that do the like finger snaps rather than clapping so they don't offend people who can't hear claps, I guess? I don't know.
Yeah, it's an interesting group, but I've tried to, and I have navigated them towards a more correct thought, because the interesting thing about them is they actually get university funding.
Mhm.
So it's actually, you navigate them towards correct thought. Now, getting kind of close to their leadership, who's actually unbelievably way more based than they are. I've come to find out that they have been wanting to collaborate with liberals, young Democrats. So I'm starting to realize at this very critical moment, we probably, one of the things that I'm asking, I guess, clearly is, will the ACP ever initiate a student program?
Oh my
Perhaps?
gosh, dude, you couldn't have asked it a better time. You need to get in contact with Carlos. Not only are we doing that right now, but we're desperate to expand it as quickly as we possibly can. Not
Yep.
desperate. Desperate's the wrong word, but like one of our one of the things we're prioritizing right now is launching our student organizations. And getting on college campuses all across the country. So what you just said is like a godsend. We got to get you in contact with Carlos or anyone from the education department.
I would definitely love to talk to Carlos more about it, because we have a group called Young Americans for Freedom, YAF, which is a conservative organization that invited a literal war criminal, by the way. I think his name's Lieutenant Colonel Alan West or something is his name.
Ooh.
That's his name. So he's a literal war criminal, even according to the United States military, which takes a lot to do that. He's advocating for more Iraq wars, more war with Iran. So all this sort of, they're bringing in these war criminals and stuff. And so I would, instead of bringing in war criminals, I'd love to bring, educated people like Carlos Garrido to come in and explain Hegel. In fact, Carlos did
Hell
get me
yeah,
to check out books from the library on Hegel. So
Awesome.
That's-
Yeah, just DM the Institute's account, X account, and we'll get you guys in touch with each other.
That's exactly what we're looking for too, is not only to start organizations on campus, but to get our people doing events.
Yes, like I'm meeting with the Ohio chapter tonight to discuss going down to Columbus or bringing people up here. There's a bunch of college campuses. We're gonna go talk to people.
Yeah. And a lot of these college campuses, they have a plaza where you can actually, every now and then I'll see like, Christian groups or YAF or whatever. They'll have these little provocatory chalkboards that says, abortion is murder, or do you believe in Jesus, etc. The kind of stuff that people are going to naturally attract to. So, and typically I do see lines of people who are interested. Actually, they're curious. And I think, there's a quote from Mao that young people are the most liberal minded in learning about new ideas and new things.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely emphasize the youth. So I think we're going to follow Mao, we're going to emphasize the youth.
Absolutely. Right. And it's not that we're going to be going to protests and colleges and just, getting people in to be part-time members and just pay us dues, like some organizations do. We want to, like you said, really get to the youth, get them theoretically educated while they're young and their minds are more open and pliable, get them going in a right direction, steer them away from the liberalism that they're going to be indoctrinated with, and get them active. I'm really excited about the potential. I'm actually just going to go ahead and follow you here so I can make sure. Oh, I already am. Okay. Sweet. All right. We will be in contact for sure. Please shoot us a DM and we'll get to work.
I'll do the same thing because
man, that's great.
Oh, I'm already following you too. Look at that. Kansas Stalinism is one of the coolest phrases I've ever heard, by the way.
Well, hey, we've got a bunch of wheat, we've got a bunch of industry to do it. We just need to make sure these kulaks don't come in and
I feel you. Dude,
Yeah.
I swear to God, like DSA kind of act like modern kulaks. I'm not gonna lie. I don't really care to like go into the whole thing about that, but it's wild to me. DSA's always been, I don't know if you've read Michael Harrington, who was one of the main founders. It's very easy to see how they've become the ideological vanguard of the establishment these days.
Well, they're ducking their heads in a time where our heads need to be standing above the rest. It's the problem. They're cowards.
I mean, I couldn't agree more. And that's something that the old party before it liquidated always did. Always. They would go around to all these activist places and then tell you not to tell anyone you're a communist. Right? Like, you got to hide that. They're never going to accept that. And then we reconstitute the party, and look what happens. It blows up specifically because we do that. Why would you ever lie about who you are? What kind of weak coward are you?
Well, fortunately for me, they've got me on their education committee, so I've been kind of re-educating them. I've got
Awesome.
Black Shirts and Reds presentation planned. They've got a professor from Villanova, Gabriel Rockhill, I think is his name. I don't really know.
We've interviewed Gabriel. He doesn't like us so much anymore, but he's actually pretty based.
Yeah.
He can be, yeah.
Yeah, so they're bringing him in and stuff. So, I mean, they're bringing in people that are actually worthwhile, but...
Right. No, that's great for DSA to hear Rockhill's work. As much as we've had our beef with them, like, it's great. All about the fake left and its CIA roots, and it's good stuff.
That work is absolutely invaluable. Like, I mean, say what you will about people's politics, whatever. That theoretical work, that historical work is really important because it gives you a grounding in how the fake left works right now, right? Like what the intelligence community actually does, where the fake leftists actually come from, how it all got started, and how we get from the Congress for Cultural Freedom to today.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And interestingly, they're actually, I've been hammering in, they need to do more economic stuff. So they've just instituted a grad student union for graduate students working as like TAs and all that sort of stuff. So that's also very impressive to see that they're jumping away from this liberalism and more into actual working class policies.
Yeah, regardless of what Noah said about DSA as an organization, which is absolutely true on the national level, there are pockets of DSA that are extremely based, and that can be won over. There are pockets who are unhappy with national leadership because they allow these different caucuses. They have basically groups that are Marxist-Leninists. Like Class Unity was a DSA group that was super, super based, bunch of blue-collar workers and stuff. And they ended up leaving the party because they felt like they couldn't change it from within. And now they're looking for something new, which ACP. But either way, there's some of them are based and can be won over.
Yeah,
unbelievably so. And I mean, they're getting funding from the university. So this is a great resource for us to take advantage of.
Hell yeah.
absolutely. Also, stack that paper.
Yeah. I mean, they went out and they handed out Plan B and whatever, and that's their thing. It wasn't really for me, but even then, they'll be going to like churches and handing out food and like Narcan during big like fraternity weekends to make sure people don't overdose and die. So
good for them, man. Good for them.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, anything else you want to share, Frat Bro Stalin? We'll get to work organizing your campus real soon.
Not really. That's really about it. I'm just really excited to get this whole, young American communist thing going on. Let's be proud of being communist.
Hell yeah,
man.
brother. I
Well
love to hear
said.
that. You are perfect for this initiative.
100%. Look, before we get to the next thing, I want to address someone in the YouTube chat again.
Okay.
Your face is unstable.
I thought you were going to make a real argument.
No, his face is unstable.
Nice. All right. Shams, go ahead.
Hello.
Hello.
You have fans all across the world. I'm currently residing in the UK, and I'm
Oh, you're really
Shams, you are breaking up
you're
like
breaking
crazy,
up. Your
brother.
connection's not good, brother.
Oh, I apologize. Is it better now?
I
Yeah.
don't think it's fixed.
Try like
Would you like to get one more guest on? I'll fix it. Oh wait, no, I know what this is. I'm downloading something at the moment.
I don't think this is gonna work.
Is it fixed now?
No, it's not.
Okay, please bring on someone.
Sorry, brother.
sorry, man.
Right
We're
off
gonna
the
have
line.
to remove you. I don't think it's working. It sounds like
Not
you're
working.
underwater. It actually sounds like nails on a chalkboard.
Yeah. Look, guys, if you just jumped into a lake, don't join and request to speak. Like, it's just not gonna work.
We got a couple more requests here. But we also have Jason with another super chat. Thank you, Jason. I was personally not thinking cowardly, but infiltration of the capitalists. Yeah, it's a combination of both. You're absolutely right. It's infiltration, but then, in order for them to infiltrate, it takes certain leaders within that organization being cowardly. And this reminds me actually of I was doing that panel for Platypus, which was super interesting. There ended up being a really badass labor organizer, former member of the Mexican Communist Party there. But we were talking, and I was like, part of the problem with communist movements of the past has been cowardice, has been selling out, has been opportunism. And I said, like, I'm willing to die for the ACP before I sell out. And some people misunderstood that and thought I was saying that you, as the working class, have to be willing to die for communism, that everybody has to be willing to die for communism. That's not what I'm saying, right? People are working hard and being beat down already. They just want relief from that, of course. Yeah. But if you're going to be the leadership of a communist organization, I do think you need to be willing to die before you sell out. I do think that you need to be willing to give your life to the cause before you become an opportunist, because so many organizations' leadership have sold them out to the capitalist class, and it's created a disastrous situation. I mean, the CPUSA, the amount of like disrespect, whatever the opposite of respect is, that I have for Sam Webb is indescribable. The person who, sold out and made the CPUSA fully 100% an arm of the Democratic Party. It's so disgusting to me, being in a similar situation now myself.
Yeah.
It so really that's is, what man. I mean when I say that. But
look, I just want to say the ruling class has a very specific formula they use for political dissidents, and it was sort of broken in on us communists, and is going to be. I mean, they're in it right now against us. The first thing they will do is ignore you. The second thing they will do is malign you, lie about you, and smear you to try to get people to ignore you, mock you, blah, blah, blah. The next thing they will try to do is buy you.
Yep.
The next thing they try to do is
one to resist, I feel like.
It really is. It's very difficult because, look, we are working class people. None of us have the stability and financial security it takes to not be tempted by millions of dollars. And that's how they bought off so many people in the past. If they can't buy you, they will try to arrest you. And if they can't do that, they will kill you. This is their playbook. And so this is why the leadership of any revolutionary organization is important. You need to be able to trust us. You need to be able to trust your leaders, right? And be sure that they are working for you. They need to say things like, I will die before I sell out. And you need to be able to know that's the truth. Like when Eddie says that, I guarantee you, Eddie would take a bullet for me just like I would for him. Because we're fighting for something bigger than ourselves. Right? And that's something that drives the ruling class crazy when they can't buy you.
Yes. It's something I had to come to terms with, especially when I lost my last job. I was like, okay, but I had this conversation with a friend who, I love this friend so much. He's one of my best friends. I don't mean to be mean to him, but he's like overweight. He's got like a problem with eating. And he was asking me if I'm afraid to die. And I'm like, well, a lot of Americans are, going to die early because they eat too much unhealthy food and stuff. It's like everybody's going to die at some point, but what are you willing to die for? I feel like I'm doing my life's purpose. So if, that life's purpose ends up being the thing that brings an end to my life, I can't think of a more honorable death. But Sebastian, a member of Midwestern Marx, sending us some super stickers. Thank you, Sebastian.
Thanks, brother. Yo, this guy has said one more thing. I gotta respond to it. Your face is patently unstable.
Good point. Oh, the F Christendom guy is back. One more $50 super chat. Holy shit.
Ooh.
Thank you, back from the road. Appreciate you so much. Keep it up, brothers. You're doing great work for our people. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. This goes a long way to fund our operations here at the Institute. We have no outside corporate funders, and we're all very busy with ACP work, all sorts of unpaid work. So thank you so much. This is extremely helpful.
Yeah, it means a lot. Thanks, brother.
Only Mexican Communist Party is Morena. All others are anarchists. Yes, very true. Thank you, Dartinez. Yes, this guy who I was talking to, we can get back to the space after this, but this guy I was talking to was part of the Mexican Communist Party, like a guerrilla fighter. Now he's a labor organizer, and he was saying the Morena Party's program is the same program that the Communist Party of Mexico had back when they were fighting a revolutionary war. So, Morena is the leading progressive pro-working class party in Mexico right now. They're not perfect like any party, but we support them and support Scheinbaum, and they're great.
Based.
Thank you all so much for the super chats. Really helpful. Oh my gosh, one more. Maintain discipline. Hell
Amelia.
yeah, Amelia. Maintain discipline always. Thank you so much. Appreciate you, comrade. That's a lot of super chats today. Appreciate everybody. All right, Saif, how's it going? Saif Ali.
Saif, you got to unmute yourself, brother.
He might have gone AFK while we were rambling.
That's true. We do have a tendency to ramble. If there's one guy that can give Carlos a run for his money rambling, it's me.
And I'm just stuck here with my TikTok brain waiting for you guys to.
Yeah, you're like, Jesus Christ, you guys talk so much.
Yeah. I probably talk too little, though. I probably talk too much sometimes. All right, F Christendom. You can go. Saif looks like he's AFK or something.
So is it Chris, or who is Chris, and why are they dumb?
Right. I'm wondering why you guys think that Elon isn't part of the vanguard, because I think he obviously is.
You want to go first with that, Noah, or should I?
Okay. Why does it seem obvious to you that he's part of? I mean, what vanguard?
Well, he's tearing down the current system, is he not?
In many ways, yeah.
Sort of. Yeah. You could make that case, absolutely. And like for example, going after U.S. aid, right? That's awesome. I mean, how could we not applaud that? But at the same time, there's a lot more to it. Like, for example, do you know how much money that Elon gets in government contracts? Just how it averages out to over the course of a single day? It's $8 million that he gets in our tax money every single day. And so to me, it seems like a conflict of interest that he gets appointed to this new government agency designed to oversee government spending and efficiency. I have a lot of problems with Doge's reporting, as well as it's kind of inaccurate and misleading.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to say like it's all bad. Like there's some great stuff they're doing.
Where'd this guy go? He dropped out of the space. He must have lost Wi-Fi or something. This is a great question.
Yeah. Why don't you go ahead and hopefully he'll come back.
Yeah, come back, F Christendom, if you're around. I want to hear your take on this, because it's interesting that you view Elon as part of the vanguard and you view MAGA as a revolutionary movement, because in many ways, like, we agree, it is objectively like the most revolutionary movement in this country right now. It doesn't have all the substance that we want to bring with the ACP, but in many ways, we want to be more MAGA than MAGA. We want to follow through on the substance that Trump promised people, that got people so riled up. And when it comes to Elon, I mean, there's his work with the Trump administration, outside of his unrepentant Zionism and stuff. Like, a lot of the things he's done, whether by accident or on purpose, have been good. And it could be some strategy to, cut off the parts of empire that are no longer needed and just refocus empire. That's what I said from the beginning. I'm like, I think they're just cutting out the woke liberal parts of empire that have formed over the past few decades, and sort of refocusing the empire on something on less woke imperialism and more just kind of bold-faced imperialism. But still, it's good that he's exposing a lot of this corruption, throwing a monkey wrench in the machinery of imperialism. A lot of these fake leftist journalistic outlets have now been exposed for taking USAID money. That shit is great, right? This is wonderful. The fact that he has a dedication to free speech, and he decided to buy X, and now X is a platform where we don't have to worry about what we say, where we can tell you exactly what we think.
Even about him.
What?
Even about him.
Even about him. Right. And I think there is algorithmic manipulation. He uses his own account, obviously, to boost stuff and boost people who he prefers and who praise him, right? But whatever, it provides a space where you can, actually have debate. And there's a lot of like neo-Nazis on the app too because of that. But it also gives like me a platform to criticize their ideology, to actually explain what's wrong with Nazi ideology, which I can't do on TikTok. Because the second I mention Hitler or the Nazis, my video gets taken down, even if I'm explaining what was wrong with them and how they were controlled by the big banks. So anyways, Elon is a part of, the vanguard that is MAGA, but MAGA isn't substantive enough to actually fix this country. MAGA includes a lot of, working class elements, but also a lot of finance capitalists and corporate imperialist elements. Like Trump was bragging or hyping up Charles Schwab recently, this mega millionaire, billionaire, and how much money he makes in one day. How he makes like 2.5 million in one day from stock market manipulation, and hyping that up like it's a good thing, right? Like, and I made a whole video about how the tariff policy is not sufficient to bring manufacturing back to the U.S. and how it's likely going to backfire on American labor. And when it comes to Elon, right, he can't be consistent as a vanguard force because of his own material interests, right? He's talking about cutting all this government funding. Tesla and SpaceX receive more government subsidies than almost any other company in America, right? The biggest welfare queen is him. He's entirely reliant on our tax money in order to keep going. And he's a Zionist who's completely cucked to Netanyahu in Israel. Who knows if they have something on him. The dude is also kind of like a degenerate sexually and stuff, sleeping and having kids with OnlyFans models and...
I mean, let's also not forget like his like bizarre like trying to ramp up racial hatred against South Africans, right?
Oh yeah, I forgot about his attacks on the EFF. I totally forgot about that. Yeah. And to conclude my point, it's basically he looks like a vanguard force against the establishment right now, but he will not Trump and Elon do not have the substance to actually fulfill the revolution that the working class constituents of MAGA want to see. The ACP has that substance. The substance that this country needs is in our party program, acp.us/program, which you should join at acp.us/join if you haven't yet. But that's the substance that America needs, right? And Trump is talking about part of it. Yeah, we're going to do protectionism, right? A little bit less neoliberalism, but without the national industrial policy, without cracking down on rentiers and debtors, with when you're giving favorable treatment to capitalists like Elon Musk and Charles Schwab who line your pockets and support you, you're not going to be able to follow through on the revolution that this country needs. Right? There's one party that has the actual ability and the substance to it to follow through on the revolutionary movement that this country needs, and that's the ACP. So when Elon does bad things, we condemn it and criticize it. When he does good things, we support it. And, you know, we don't have this like Trump derangement syndrome. We recognize that many people view MAGA as this person said, a vanguard force, a revolutionary force. But we also are wary of their shortcomings, and that's where we want to step in and offer the real movement.
At the end of the day, it's inherently limited. It is the first moment in a period of political realignment and change. If you want to hear my full thoughts on it, just watch my stream from Tuesday. It's like in my whole opener thing. But here's what I find interesting. USAID and all of these NGOs that go all over the world, spending billions upon billions of American taxpayer dollars, influencing the politics of other countries, serve a role. They serve the role of propping up the US dollar since it's based on debt now. they need other people buying things like US Treasury bonds, right? Lending in the dollar, trading in the dollar, etc., or it falls. Because the dollar is tied to debt rather than actually being a commodity like it used to be, this is how they prop it up. And so I wonder if the tariffs are part of a plan to replace that, because they look at that and they just see wokeism, right? And a lot of it is wokeism. That's the modern form of regime change. Like, oh, these evil Iranians, they don't like LGBTQI or whatever the new thing is, right? So we need to regime change them, right? So like, I wonder how tied in that is. Like, this is just me speculating, but I don't know if that's a coincidence, you know?
Yeah, it's an open question for sure. Sleeper Cell, ACP. Thank you, Sleeper Cell. Appreciate you for the super chat. Jason with another one. Jason's going crazy today. Thank you, Jason, for your consistent support, brother. Hope the weightlifting is going well. Elon Musk is a fascist, racist, South African emerald miner's son who plays with exploding rockets paid for by taxpayer dollars instead of just having NASA. There you go. That's why Elon Musk is not going to fulfill the revolution that people want him to fulfill. And not only, so my roommate worked at NASA. He's brilliant. He worked at NASA, and he said that basically NASA does like research and development now for the private sector. They're basically just an arm of like Elon Musk. So not only is he receiving government subsidies, but NASA, which used to be, you know, an organization to be proud of here in America, has become almost like an arm of Elon's companies and for profit making, not for actually innovating and doing the things that NASA used to do. And people at NASA were open about this. An older employee told my buddy when he was working there, he's like, man, we went to the moon. Think about that. We went to the moon. Now look at what this fucking place has become. And of course we did that out of, if we did actually land on the moon, we did that because of a competition with the Soviets, with socialists. So we basically did central economic planning to make sure that NASA was well funded. Now that there's no Soviet Union to compete with, NASA has become an arm of SpaceX, which is really, really, really tragic for anybody who's a scientist or an engineer in this country.
And what does it do? It puts more of our wealth that we create with our labor in Elon Musk's pockets. That ain't a coincidence. We went to the fucking moon. Holy shit. Right? There were Americans walking around on the moon like, yo, holy shit, we're on the fucking moon, bro. And then like Neil Armstrong's like, yeah, I know, we're on the fucking moon. Holy shit, man. That happened. Right? Imagine that. Like, that's what NASA did. And now it's just making money for this guy. Huh?
Allegedly.
We put guys on a sound stage that looked like the moon.
We tricked the Soviets into thinking we went to the moon.
Fucking Russian suckers.
I don't know. I haven't looked into it that much. I know Buzz Aldrin punched some guy in the face for calling him a fake recently.
Really? Dude, he's like 90. That's kind of hardcore. I like that.
Yeah. It's a funny video. The American Red, though. What's up, brother? How's it going?
Well said about the the stock buybacks and how it's all parasitic capital, and they really don't have a plan at all at reconstructing the American economy.
Fucking A.
Yeah, because it's like I remember it's like 92.
Yeah, the top 92% of capital investment is in parasitic stuff like speculation, real estate, real estate investment that ends up as asset price manipulation and inflation, stuff like that. We don't need to go through a boring economic lesson.
Yeah. But I was just gonna ask quickly. I'm finally at Black Reconstruction by Du Bois.
Oh yes.
Kind of takeaways.
Number one, Du Bois. He was very particular about his name. Du Bois is actually how it's pronounced, believe it or not. Yeah, I know. But So, like, regarding takeaways, what's important in Black Reconstruction in America for me is to sort of recognize the new categories and dialectical logic that Du Bois is using throughout the whole thing. So, like, the subtext rather than the apparent text, right? Because what he does is explains a primary form of American class struggle in creating the category enslaved proletariat and Black proletariat. He's describing something essential to the entire system of world trade, which was chattel slavery actually produced surplus value, right? It's just a different form of it than quote unquote free labor or wage slavery, whatever you want to call it, right? And it was the primary motivating force that undergirded all of world trade, because what was the big cash crop besides tobacco? It was cotton, right? Which went to feeding the British textile mills. And it was the British Empire that was the backbone of the entire world economic system of capitalism in this era. This changes when the enslaved proletariat rise up during the end of the Civil War and force the issue of abolition. This can't be called anything other than class struggle or anything other than a revolution, because it changed the social relations that society was reproduced through on a fundamental level for good. We cannot come back from that moment. So that's my big takeaway. What do you think, Eddie?
My internet is glitching out a little bit, so apologies if I'm interrupting anybody. But yeah, this is something that I actually wrote about before reading Black Reconstruction, and that was a research interest to me. I wrote this article about slavery's role in the early stages of global capitalism and how it was essential to maintaining and growing capitalism in Europe and in the American North, and how the industrialists and the bankers as well, who gave credit to the plantation owners, capitalist credit, right? How it was beneficial for them. And Marx was actually I came across a passage today in volume 3, which I'm almost finished with. I'm grinding, almost got it done. But he was talking about how in certain forms of slavery that interact with the world market, the world capitalist market, the capitalist market affects that the slave mode of production in a way to where it becomes more bourgeois. So essentially what we had in the American South was like a bourgeois form of slavery that operated with similar mechanisms and interacted with capitalist markets in the same way that European or North American or Northern American capitalism was as well. And this led to an incentive to produce as much surplus value as possible, which is why torture was systematized in the on the slave plantations. There were very few advancements technologically to increase the productivity of labor when it came to cotton picking. They invented the cotton gin, which allowed for more cotton to be separated, but that just meant more cotton needed to be picked. So in order to produce as much surplus value as possible, because bourgeois modes of production are focused on only one thing, the accumulation of surplus value, they systematized these different methods of torture to force the slaves to pick faster. And it was a very bourgeois form of slavery that's unique, not completely unique, but very unique in human history. But it's super interesting. And Du Bois explains how the Civil War was a product of class struggle. And this is vital for us to understand as Americans, because Marx and Engels put much effort into analyzing the growth of capitalism within feudalism in Europe, and how capitalism and the new bourgeois class was eventually able to uproot the monarchs and overthrow the feudal class and move towards capitalism out of feudalism. We didn't have that in the United States. We had, the native, indigenous, like tribal modes of production, which were swept aside by Manifest Destiny and the genocide, obviously. And then we had capitalism, or like colonial mode of production, like a small farmer sort of peasant mode of production in the North that eventually evolved into industrial capitalism. And in the South, we had a plantation system, a slave system. And through the Civil War, that slave system was moved forward to a new mode of production because of the struggle between the plantation owners and the industrialists, and the struggle between the slaves, which is one of the main points that Du Bois makes and explains how this is so, the class struggle between the slaves and the plantation owners themselves. And it was the Civil War that was going on for years. John Brown was doing his thing, you know, before the Civil War kicked off. But when the war happened, that was the qualitative shift into a new mode of production out of slavery and into capitalism. And Du Bois is one of his main insights is that the slaves, when they left the South to join the Union Army en masse, it served a double effect of basically being a general strike that deprived the South of labor while injecting troops into the North. And they ended up being the fiercest, best troops, because these were people fighting for their freaking freedom. They were willing to lay down their lives because they knew if they lost, they would be back in chains picking cotton on the plantation. So they ended up being the most useful soldiers for the North, the former slaves were. So it shows without a shadow of a doubt that this was the product of class struggle. Not only class struggle between the slave owners and the capitalists, but the essential factor was the slaves themselves, the toiling masses of the South themselves. So that's an essential book for Americans to understand. We need to understand how capitalism developed in this country uniquely. We can't just copy and paste Marx's analysis of Europe onto the U.S. But super pumped you're reading that book.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot.
You bet. Sorry I rambled like crazy there. But that
was good. I was having fun listening to it. I was drawing a picture of a wizard anyway.
That's just one of the main topics I've researched. Nice. I could make a joke right now, but I won't. I'll tell it to you after the stream.
Okay.
The Trotskyite here in Argentina created their own AI called ChatPTS. It's basically just ChatGPT, but with one source. That's a Trotskyite newspaper, and it's behind a paywall. The Trots have advanced into the 21st century.
Yo, but they cling to that fucking newspaper, dude.
Bro, they cling to it, and they'll never let you have it for free.
No, never.
You always gotta pay.
Yo, I guarantee you, there's people out there on the street corner selling QR codes for their chatbot.
That is so funny. Yes, they're standing on soapboxes, handing out QR codes to everybody. Trot's gonna trot, man. What can you say? Thank you so much, Battle Cossack. Appreciate you.
All right, who else wants to request? What's going on here? We got like another person requesting.
We got Shams again. Okay, we'll see if Shams was able to come up from the bottom of the pool that he was sitting on.
Yeah, Shams, I hope you got out of that lake, brother.
I hope it sounds like it.
No, you didn't, you liar.
He's not.
I'm so sorry. I'll join back. That's the ACP.
It's all good, man. You don't have to be sorry. Your audio's just messed up. It's a connection issue.
Oh, it ain't your fault, man.
Software. It's not my microphone. Software.
Sorry, Shams. It's just not working, brother.
It's just not your night, brother, or day. Sometimes I forget that it's day because like I'm so used to being at work right now.
Yeah, it's very streaming at night.
Yeah, I know. Like I'm used to like, oh man, why am I not tired? All right, who else wants to come up and I just got your private message. Sorry.
I just told Noah the joke I was gonna tell behind the scenes. Sorry, everyone. I'll tell you at the event. If you come to the May event, I'll tell you. Dang, someone requested, and then I gave them speaker, and they disappeared. I hate when that happens.
Yeah, well, I feel like maybe they're also wizards, and they're like maybe invisible. You know,
that could.
I just gotta tell you, I fucking hate wizards.
I guess we could wrap up the space too. I'll give people like another. What do you think, Noah? Like another 2 minutes to request, and if no one does,
yeah, that
space. All right, guys, you got 2 minutes. Any final comments?
I'm kind of bummed we didn't get any anti-communists. Like, Why is it that anti-communists spend all day gibbering in replies, but when it comes time to actually substantiate a single goddamn thing they say, they run screaming away from that opportunity? It's like, I don't know, maybe they just want to hide behind their keyboards because they're terrified of actually confronting a communist.
I was really hoping we would get someone like this. There was a post that I didn't expect it to go viral, but some guy made a post about how we need Trotsky's leadership now more than ever, which was like a bait to get Stalinists angry at him. But I made a response talking about why Trotskyism is so popular in the West, because it allows you to call yourself a communist without facing institutional repression. And then somebody else made a brilliant response about how it's also idealism, because it allows you to not test your ideas against reality. It allows you to say, no, my form of socialism that I invented in my head would have been perfect. It was just that Stalin killed Trotsky before we could enact it or whatever. It's pure nonsense. So it's rooted in idealism, but a lot of these trots like this have been now, it's sparked the debate, which ironically happened at the same time that the Spartacist League is criticizing the ILA and like messing up, or not messing up, unsuccessfully, and maybe on accident, trying to mess up some of our union organizing efforts. But now there's all these Trotskyists running around on Twitter fighting about it. And I really hoped we could get, this is one of the people doing it, one of the bigger accounts. I really hoped we could get someone like this in the space. But it's like Noah said, a lot of people just don't feel comfortable defending their ideas in a public forum, with where we can actually respond, and it's frustrating.
That's it exactly. Like when they're just on a keyboard, they can ignore what you say, right? They can continually attack, and you can't go, whoa, slow down, buddy. Like actually explain what you mean by this, right? And I think that's literally all of them. To me, I don't know. It seems this timing is too coincidental, and I would just love to ask them why they feel comfortable using communist symbols if they know on some level they don't get Marxism. Like, if you care even a little bit about class struggle, why would you be so reckless and irresponsible as to say something with confidence when you're not absolutely sure?
Absolutely. I'm still kind of lagging out here. I don't know what's going on. But here's a good question, Noah. Was legit, what was Trotsky's role as the commander of the Red Army? Was he even a general? All I know, people know that my Soviet history is not as good as it should be. I understand China much better, Venezuela, socialist republics in the global south. Because when I was a young Marxist, I was like, no, the Soviet Union's too big and powerful. I have to study these smaller countries. I have to study the underdog. So now I'm getting real into studying the Soviet Union and all the history. And maybe that's why I've got this like vendetta against Trotsky now as I learn more about it. But all I know is that he put down Makhno and the Makhnovites. But
yeah. So he did have certain military commands. Like he wasn't like some brilliant tactician. He wasn't a military strategist. He was mostly a hype man. I mean, as much as I know, we all know he was a piece of shit, an anti-communist, blah blah blah. He could give a speech. He could motivate people, and that's a really good skill to have. And so the Bolsheviks took advantage of that. Unfortunately, a lot of like his actual decisions when he got sent somewhere in a military capacity during the Civil War were to just be as bloody as possible. Put it down, basically, was his thing. So like there wasn't really a tactical mind there, but I don't know. It's not as if like he did nothing, but in general, just a hype man. Yeah.
He was the general secretary of hype moments and aura farming. That's hilarious. That's exactly what it was. from my limited understanding.
Pretty
Looks
much.
like we don't have any more requests, so I guess we can close down the space. Thank you, everybody. Be sure to follow. Shout out to Jackson for hopping in here and attracting a bunch of new listeners.
Oh, we
If
got
you're-
someone requesting.
No, it's the same guy. It's the
Oh,
underwater
okay.
guy.
Yeah. Sorry,
but
man.
thank you, everybody. If you're not following us yet, follow Midwestern Marks. Subscribe to us on YouTube, where we're streaming this from, and Midwestern Marks. We're also on Twitch and stuff like that. My TikTok is Edby Ligersmith. And if you want to take a class on Marxism and learn more about what we believe and the core principles that we push on these streams, Carlos Garrido is doing his Marxism School seminar, which is a great class. It's still open. You can still sign up. You're going to be studying Lenin, Stalin, Mao, Gramsci, Althusser, Ilyenkov, Zizek, and Frederick Jameson. So if you want to learn more about American Marxism and what we believe, take that class. Selfie. Just search Midwestern Marks Selfie, SELLFY, and you can access that. But thank you all for hanging out. I got to go grab my phone so I can actually stop the space. But entertain the people, Noah.
That works. I'm not so entertaining. I can do like a little spin. You guys want to see a spin? Was that entertaining? Are you entertained? I could kill another gladiator, but I'm not going to do that. Yo, I'm not going to draw a wizard live. No, I do that, like, you know how people doodle while they're like on the phone and stuff. I doodle while I'm taking notes. And people always wonder why I always have this pen and I point it at people. It's because I'm constantly writing notes to myself. I have a terrible memory, so if I don't, I will forget something by the time like Eddie's on the second sentence he's gonna say, right? So I even have a little shorthand. So like you'll see like words that aren't words in my notes if you look through it, and little doodles of wizards.
Oh, dude, me too.
Not all just wizards, but you know.
No, you got.
I should probably unmute my StreamYard tab so I can hear you. All right.
Yeah, when you were talking about having a bad memory, I sent you a private message to do that. I'm like, oh, he's gonna forget. I forgot earlier this stream when I was trying to play that TikTok. What was I gonna say? I do that too with shorthand. I do CMOP. Nobody ever knows what CMOP means. Can anybody guess? Can you guess, Noah? What CMOP is shorthand for?
I need a hint.
Capitalist.
Means of production.
Mode of production. Capitalist mode of production. It's too long to write out, but you just write CMOP, then you don't even have to write out capitalism. It's a short. Yeah. I'm also learning cursive now because I was highly embarrassed by my signature. I was like asking people like, is it allowed? Like, can somebody forge this for me when we were signing the ACP founding document? I'm like, guys, I promise nobody has worse handwriting than me. They're like, no, it's fine. I have bad handwriting. I'm like, no, you don't understand. It's going to be bad. So I was highly embarrassed by my signature. We took the best one. I did 6 of them. And so now I'm learning cursive to both write faster and to improve my signature.
You know what's great? Like the generation right before mine in school still taught penmanship.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, so everyone has handwriting in grade school, but throughout high school, you would have penmanship classes, and they just don't do it now.
Yeah, my middle school, my 6th grade teacher, I love the guy. He was very old, though. It was like, I think he retired the next year. He would write in cursive, and he was so fast, and like it looked good, and I wanted to know how to do that. And he said, well, they don't teach penmanship anymore. It's not on our curriculum anymore. Which I guess, like, I'm a really fast typer because I've been doing typing classes since I was in 2nd grade, because I was born after the computer technological revolution. But it still would be not like, there's so many advantages to writing shorthand. It helps with learning. It helps you intake information. And you can, for me, like I rarely read anything off PDF or off the internet or off an ebook. It's just distracting for me. I get, notifications, and it pulls my attention. When I read, I sit with a real physical book in a room where nobody's around me, and I have to take notes, underline, and write in the margins. Like
Every book on that bookshelf back there is just full of notes to myself.
yes, same. And like you can't do that with you can take notes if you have like Google Books, and I read a book about Laos on Google Books because I couldn't get it anywhere else. I'm reading War and Peace right now on Google Books because it's freaking free. And obviously a physical copy isn't free, but when it comes to theory, I gotta have the physical book. I've talked about tips for reading theory with ADD because that's what a lot of people on TikTok complain about. Go figure, because TikTok's ruining their brains and their attention spans. But they asked me, I'm like, well, what you got to do is put TikTok, your phone away, and get in a state of mind where you're not thinking about it, where you don't have this impulse to constantly grab it. And I feel like that's easier to do with a physical book.
Yeah, 100% it is. I read a lot of PDFs, but I have the same problem where I'll get distracted just because, look, like, I think people don't understand how busy our lives are, right? Because like when you guys see us, you're seeing us where we've cut out a section of time for this purpose. But there is always something that needs our attention and always new things piling up. So like I get, messages like, hey, what can you do with this? Can you do with that? And my study time gets smaller and smaller and smaller. So
life, bro.
Yeah. It's good to be able to just sit there on the couch with a book, especially if I'm doing multiple things, I don't know.
Right. And then you go grab your phone and you have 47 notifications while you were reading and you're like, I'm never going to read again. Sucks. Such is life though. By the way, we can wrap up whenever you want, but figure we pull this video up since we talked about it. Our boy Buzz.
Why don't you swear on the Bible that you walked on the moon? Why don't you swear on the Bible that you walked on the moon?
I'm not trying to get
You tell him to get out of here.
This is a hotel.
We'll call the police.
We pay.
Come on in here. We'll call the police.
Solicit
Why don't you swear on the Bible that you walked on the moon?
It doesn't, sir. I don't have nothing to do with this. But
Okay.
you cannot solicit on this property.
We just paid
Right now-
to rent out the penthouse and shoot up there. So
You can't solicit like this on this property.
keep.
All right. Well, then I go through my measures.
You got to keep shooting, man. Okay. Well, you can put it on your shoulder. Don't be shy.
Come with me, Buzz.
You really like it?
You're the one who said you walked on the moon when you didn't. Calling it kettle black, if I ever thought of it. Saying I misrepresented myself.
Away from me.
You're a coward and a liar and a thief.
Oh, good for you, Buzz. Fuck that guy.
Why don't you?
Why wouldn't he swear on the Bible though? That's all I want to know. Dude, he decked that guy.
No, he was old as hell, and he was just like, "Fuck it, let's go." Look, I'm sorry. Like, I don't care if you think the moon landing was real or not. You do not walk up to a man out of fucking nowhere like that and bother him with some bullshit. You just don't. Like, that's what. Like, look, maybe the moon landing was fake. Frankly, I don't care. What I think is cool is that Buzz Aldrin put that dude on his ass, which is his place.
Yeah, that was hilarious. That guy was annoying. That guy's like the OG internet prankster. Like, that's something you see all the time now. That was different back then.
Oh, really? That was supposed to be a hilarious prank?
I mean, that's just what the pranksters do now, is like go out in public and like bug people and not leave them alone.
Annoying random strangers is a prank.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, you got anything else you want to talk about today, Noah?
Nah, man. I'm cashed. I'm done.
Me
I'm gonna
too.
go eat some pizza with the wife.
Sounds good, man. Thank you everybody for the super chats. Thank you, Noah, for hanging out. Appreciate it. We got a lot of super chats here. It was a great day for that. Thank you all so much. Yesterday was great too. Patreon.com/Midwestern Marks to support us financially. As I said, Sellfy.com/Midwestern Marks for Carlos's class, doing the 20th century Marxism seminar again, one of the best classes. You'll learn a shit ton if you take this. whether you're a beginner or whether you're already advanced in your theory journey, this class will be useful for you. Sellfy.com/Midwestern Marx or Midwestern Marx Publishing Press.sellfy.store. Just Google Midwestern Marx Sellfy.
Give it a goog, guys.
Give it a goog, guys. Join that class. It'll be a good one. Anything else you got to share, Noah?
No, on Noah's show, we moved to X Spaces from Discord. So if you want to ask questions, you want to debate me, whatever, from now on, just join the X Space and we'll get you in that way.
Based. That's a great move. All right, we'll see you on the next one, everyone. Thanks for hanging out.
Bye.
Stand up, all victims of oppression, for the tyrants fear your might. Don't cling so hard to your possessions, for you have nothing if you have no right. Let racist ignorance be ended, for respect makes the empires fall. Freedom is merely privilege extended, unless enjoyed by one and all. So come, brothers and sisters, for the struggle carries on. The International unites the world in song. So comrades, come rally, for this is the time and place. The international ideal unites the human race. Let no one build walls to divide us, walls of hatred nor walls of stone. Come greet the dawn and stand beside us. We'll live together or we'll die alone. In our world poisoned by exploitation, those who have taken, now they must give. And end the vanity of nations, we've but one earth on which to live. So come, brothers and sisters, for the struggle carries on. The International unites the world in the song. So comrades, come rally, for this is the time and place. The international ideal unites the human race. And so begins the final drama, in the streets and in the field. We stand unbowed before their armor, we defy their guns and shields. When we fight, provoked by their aggression, let us be inspired by life and love. For though they offer us concessions, change will not come from above. So come, brothers and sisters,